only now I'm able to go back and unpick all that and realise that, you know, that's not necessarily a normal way of navigating through school. I haven't got the same school memories that maybe other people have got. That was when I learned that my happy little bubble wasn't necessarily like real life. Like, the world is awful and awful things happen and you can't control them, even if your parents have said like, or like the doctors have said you're going to be okay. There was like a power dynamic where I had in my primary school where one of my teachers abused me.
You strike me as somebody with a massive heart.
Yeah.
You strike me as somebody that is quite sensitive. I am very sensitive. And I think there's massive big walls around you, Saff. You're playing
a game.
What game is that?
It's Fortnite.
It is Fortnite, okay.
I don't like Fortnite. Sorry. I was going to put it out there.
Welcome, Saff.
Hello, hi.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm a little bit nervous but excited, and this is something I've never done before. I've never spoken openly. So yeah, it's exciting.
What has been different about our episode today is that we've had about 20 minutes before we've been able to film, haven't we? So if people are watching this episode, we've now got funky lights behind us. So hopefully that's eased you in a little bit rather than us going, right, we need to record straight away.
Yeah.
Being nervous is really normal. But hopefully once we start chatting and stuff, like, you'll forget that everything else is here. So obviously I do know you because we went to sixth form together.
Yeah.
But in terms of anybody else, if they have absolutely no idea who you are, could you give us a bit of an insight into just you, your life?
Yeah. So we went to school together, which was many moons ago now, wasn't it? And since then I've become a mum and I've got my children, we're landlords, and we just have a whole host of things going on. I was a young mum, and our journey has just been pretty wild, to be honest, since school.
Wow. So how many children have you got?
Two
and
boys.
2 boys, and how old are they?
My eldest is 13, so I've got a teenager, so he's taller than me now. So that's really weird, like having that shift. And my youngest is going to be 11 this month. So that's another weird one because he's getting ready to go to secondary school now, and the dynamics are shifting and they don't need me as much anymore, which is bizarre. It's having to let go of the reins a little bit. But yeah, it's lovely having 2 boys.
How have you found that change of them getting older and realising, you know, as you say, they don't need you as much as they did?
It's been challenging because I've always been at home with them. I'm such a full-on mum. I've never left them to go to a job or anything. And so when I've had to kind of let go, it's like, well, where do I fit into this dynamic now? And trying to make sure that they are being independent, being able to learn and go through experiences without their mum being like hand-holding through it all. It's lovely, but I think now, because I've had such a change in our relationship with them, it's now making me look at myself more. And because they've grown up, I'm now tuning into me, and it's like me time now to work on things that I've obviously been through and to focus on myself, which is lovely. But it's also just not natural for me because I had Ethan when I was 20, so I got pregnant at 19, so still a child basically. I was young to then have a child, have another child, go through everything I've been through with them, to now be like, oh, I'm still a mum, I always will be a mum, but I'm not having to do everything I'd normally do. Is just such a weird change.
And even stuff like you coming on here today is you doing something for you. I know that you're figuring things out. You have been through a lot, and I'm sure that we'll come to that during this episode. But that shift in, and as you say, you'll always be their mum. Always. They'll always need you. But in terms of that hands-on support, maybe you're not needed as much. And you want to give them their freedom and their independence and stuff like that. So I'm really pleased that you're taking this time to figure out, well, who is Saff?
Yeah.
When she's not being a mum.
That's it.
How have you found that, figuring things out for you?
challenging. And the moment that it switched for me was we were in Bournemouth last year, and I struggle really badly with anxiety. So that's like my main thing through being a parent. I've had my anxiety, and it's around germs
Right.
and people being unwell. And that all stems back from like when I was a child and some of the things that I went through. And we were in Bournemouth, and the kids had eaten like rubbish food because we were on holiday, and one of them wasn't feeling too great because they'd eaten rubbish food, and my whole like body, we shared a hotel, we were sharing a hotel room, was just a wave of like anxiety came over me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was going to have a panic attack, and in my head I was imagining them being really poorly and like how we're going to cope, and my brain was like planning something that hadn't even happened. And then I was like, and then I looked over at the boys and my husband, and they were just laughing and having fun. And I was like, hang on, I am so not happy and having fun right now. Like, I'm not okay. And it was that moment I was like, you need to get some help.
Mm.
Like, we're on holiday. We very rarely get to go away because of my health issues anyway. And we're here. And now something that you can't even control is affecting our holiday, your holiday, the time with the boys. And I've always been so conscious that I don't want the boys to see me struggle through whatever I've gone through. So it's like, you deal with it when they're not about, sort of
Yeah.
thing. But I was like, how can I keep going forward doing this? And that's when I reached out and looked into therapy and signed up to have some therapy, which was just weird because I've never had therapy before. And considering everything I've been through, you think, oh, like, it's a natural thing to want to do that. But it was interesting, the therapy that I was reaching wasn't for things I'd been through. It was for my anxiety and like, how can I cope with the OCD and the control of like germs?
Yeah.
And then you think, when I started that, I didn't know what it would unlock.
Yeah. I think that is so common. It happened with me. You know, I'd never been to therapy. I didn't want to go to therapy. I didn't think therapy would work. And my friend's mum sort of pushed me. Well, she booked the
Oh,
appointment for me. So I thought, I don't want to let her down. I
no.
respect her too much to let her
Yeah.
down.
And
So I
how
went.
amazing to have that person to be like, you're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I went with one thing, split with my boyfriend. I went for that. And oh my God, what else it uncovers. You know, it's very, very common that you will go for X and you will uncover all of the other letters in the alphabet. And that sounds a little bit like what
Yeah.
you've experienced. Are you pleased that you went?
Massively. And my therapist, he's lovely, he's ace. But and it's, I wouldn't even necessarily say that it was him, that he helped validate a lot of things that I was feeling, which really helped, which made my brain think more. And it was just speaking. It was speaking openly to someone that's their job, is to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
They're not going to judge you, and you're not offloading your trauma, or like, I'm not looking for a reaction or waiting for someone, because I always find it uncomfortable. So if I'd speak to friends, which I'd very rarely would happen, I hated that whole like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's so hard. Like, I didn't want to hear that of people, and it made me feel people looked at me then differently,
Right.
because I was somebody that came with a lot of baggage. So I wouldn't speak. But with him, he didn't do the whole what you'd friends would do, like what you'd do to somebody else, that kind of loving and, you know, trying to understand and all of that. So it was really helpful to have it, and it started me having conversations with myself, in like going in my own brain, going back through stuff and trying to piece together things. And I've gone back to my therapist and was like, I think this is because of this, and they're like, yeah, bang on, like that is because of that. And it's like, wow. So my issue started before the big pinnacle moment in my childhood, that you think that's when the issues would start from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've used the word control.
Yeah.
And that's really common because OCD happens or is prevalent when we feel the need to control. And that's not you wanting to be controlling.
No.
That's just wanting you to feel safe and have those around you be safe as well. Did you like put two and two together before you went to therapy about all of that? Or is it?
Because there was a moment when I had an experience years ago, which was such a horrible day. And that ingrained in me trust that was broken in a way, my sense of judgment, being told something's okay and then it's not, and having reassurance that was then kind of broken. And I think that's where I knew that. And I always said, well, I know where it's from. Like, I understand. And I speak about this story over and over again, but it didn't really push me forward. So yeah, I knew that before, but having therapy has helped me put more of the picture together. So it's like, well, that's one moment which we know it's what's triggered it. But hang on, let's pull in bits from your childhood. Let's pull in bits that before this thing happened that would contribute to it as well.
I think from us speaking, because we had a phone call, didn't we? We had a chat about, and everything that you've been through, I had no idea.
No.
And you have been through a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
One of the main things that I know about is obviously you lost your mum at a really young age. Tell me about that.
So me and my mum were best friends. Like, she was the best woman ever. Jo. Yeah. Which is so weird to say. And I know lots of people that went to school with me in my second primary school know who my mum is, because I was such a clingy child. I had not separation anxiety, but I used to sleepwalk, and my mum would always come on the school trips because she was like, if you're going to sleepwalk, I need to be there. So like our camps, she was always there. She was always there on the school trips. She was always helping. So a lot of the parents knew mum and a lot of the kids knew mum as well. And she was just always around. So it was really lovely because people knew of her. But now I'm getting older, no one knows my mum I feel like people don't know my mum anymore, because obviously you meet new people and they're just strangers. Like my husband, I've been with him for nearly 17 years. My mum's been passed.
Wow, 17.
Yeah, and my mum's been gone for nearly 17 years.
Right.
And they were passing ships. So my mum was alive when I went to meet my husband on like a second little date thing. And I very nearly said, do you want to come back and meet my mum? But she was so poorly on the sofa, I knew that she wouldn't want me to be like, oh, here's a stranger. And then obviously she passed away like a couple of weeks later. So he could have nearly met her, but he's been in my life basically all the way up till now. So even he hasn't got a memory of my mum just from what we've spoken about. So yeah, she was diagnosed with cancer. And we were told, obviously, she had cancer. And then the sort of chemo that she had, she used to describe it as like a bullet chemo. It was a tablet, it would go around her body and kill the cancer. From what I remember, when she came off that chemo, we went to go out and celebrate, and we were like, yeah, you've beat it, like the cancer's gone. When she
Were you told that?
Yeah, we were told that she was fine, she was going to be okay. And then when she came off this chemo, it just made other cancer in her body, which they weren't aware of, angry, and it just took over. From what I know, from what I was told, like obviously as a child. So that was really tricky, because you've got your adults, your parents, who you trust with your life and who have always been so honest with us. That's something that my mum and dad always drummed into us. They were always honest, always told us the truth, never lied. Never, they said we were doing something, we were doing it, unless there was like a really good reason, and then it'd be like rescheduled. So they never let us down. And obviously that trust was massive with my family. And it must be heartbreaking for obviously them both to be like, we've told the kids we're going to be okay, and then I'm not okay.
Yeah.
But it's out of their control. And I think that was when I learned that my happy little bubble wasn't necessarily like real life. Like, the world is awful and awful things happen, and you can't control them, even if your parents have said like, or like the doctors have said you're going to be okay, and then a couple of weeks later you've passed away. It's wild. And that journey, like with your brain, I was 17, and at 17 you know that you know everything, don't you? You feel like you know what's going on in the world, and you've got your head screwed on. And it was just a real challenge to obviously navigate that. And not knowing. And it was just like, and then it was just like, bam. And then it's like, how do you go back to normal life after that?
No, because it was in such a short period of time, such a shock. You know, you're told by professional people she's going to be okay. And then did I hear you correctly when you said it was a couple of weeks?
I feel like it was a couple of weeks, yeah. Really, really quick. to the point where we were just like, she'd had operations to get rid of the cancer. So we went through a lot of time of her healing and coming over the operations and stuff. And then in our heads, that was it. We've done that. I say we, as a family, we've done the hardest bit, but obviously for her, it must have been horrendous. She's done the hardest bit. To the fact we've all been well enough to go out and sit in Earlsdon and have a curry to celebrate that, you know, the chemo's finished, it's all going to be okay. And then it not being okay. It's like a bit like a car crash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really
How
tricky.
did you process that? Where were you and what were you doing at that time? So like were you 17 when she passed away?
Yeah.
Right. And what were you doing? So were you at sixth form? Was that sixth form time?
Yeah, so it was sixth form time and they were shocking. They told me to leave. So they told me to get out of sixth form basically because I was going to school as like my escape. And I admit, like I've never been a very academic person. Like I'm not very clever and I've not been like into studies. And I'd just go to see my mates and just chill out and hang out. And it was like my little escape. And I think school could pick up on the fact that I just was not there at all to learn, apart from dance. Dance was my thing and I had to go to Westwood for that and it was lovely. But it was just not my thing to be in school. Like, I was using it as an escape, like I said. So they were like, oh, you need to drop a course. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll drop a lesson. Like, I'm not bothered.
Was this lower six or upper six?
First year.
First one, yeah.
And then, yeah, then they called me back in. They were like, no, we just don't think you should continue. And I was like, why? Like, I would love to continue, but they were like, no. So then I was like, losing school, which you've been in school for years. So it's like your routine of getting up and going to school. And then I remember my mum was well enough and she wasn't going to pass at this time. So she was like, well, you've always wanted to be an events manager or organizer. You're so good at organizing. Like, she was such a big advocate for like me and my brother with studies. And she was very like creative and in that way. So she was like, why don't you go and be like, look at the Rico and get a job doing something like that. So I did. I went and got an apprenticeship there. So I'd left school, kind of left all my friends behind because they were there, and it's very hard to keep in touch, especially when you don't drive and stuff.
Yeah.
And the hours were very different. And I was going into like the big world, like the big girl job, like running events and
at 17-ish, no one really had jobs like that, did they?
No. And then it was like, there were so many people. The Rico, this amount of staff that are there is just insane. So I was just like overwhelming of characters and personalities. It was amazing. And that's actually where I met my husband.
Okay.
So that was lovely. But because I'd be working till quite late, even like through the night sometimes, like it was taxis, it was Ubers, it was buses home. I was very out of the picture of what was obviously going on at home because I was in a new job. I was distracted. I'd just had my braces off and I'd had braces for years. And I was like finding like teenage Saff, feeling more grown up. Like, oh my God, you're having to travel all the way to the Rico. Like, that's far. When you're young and you've only had to walk down the road to get to school.
Yeah.
So it felt grown up. And I was, doing that as a job when I found out that my mum wasn't very well. And they also said, you shouldn't do an apprenticeship anymore. You need to go be with your mum. And it was like, I appreciate the concern, but equally you can't tell somebody to stop their education. And you could be like, have a break. Like, your apprenticeship can wait. Like, you can come back. But no, it was like, you need to go. And then management were arguing about it and they managed to keep me on for a little bit. But by that point, my heart had gone because I was like, this is a second group of adults, which are meant to be like safe people, aren't they?
Yeah.
When you're that age, saying, you know what, like, no. So that was really tricky. And I still worked there. I ended up just working as a job. Like, I stopped the apprenticeship and the management were like, no, like, you're ace, like, we're going to take you on and you can work. And we did. And I worked with my husband for quite a bit and then went to college, got pregnant while I was in college. I was training to be like a TA, like a childcare level 3. Always loved babies, always loved children. And that was really good. And then got pregnant. So it was like, oh, can't go and have a career now because I'm having my own baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was obviously navigating that without my mum. That was quite challenging, going through that early stages of knowing you're going to have a baby. And then what everyone does, they go to baby fairs and they baby showers and stuff like that. So I didn't have a baby shower. But I lost a lot of friends when my mum had passed. And I think I've spoken to some since, and we're not friends now. But they've said like they found that really hard to navigate. At 17, people struggle with their emotions anyway.
Yeah.
They found it really hard to navigate. How do they be a friend and step up at 17 to support like you as a person? And I remember feeling really sad because so many of them knew mum and they were in our house all the time and like socialized with me. And none of them came to the funeral. And I was a bit like, I understand we might not be close anymore, but you still knew her as a person. I had a couple of friends that did come to the funeral that were like my friends sort of in school, outside school. But yeah, most of the ones that the key girlies that I grew up with weren't around. So that was quite challenging to then, well, okay, no one's been in touch. Then I got pregnant and then they all came back and wanted to see baby and socialise and stuff for like a first few visits, and then gone, never seen them again. So it's like bizarre.
Well, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear this because you've been through a traumatic experience of like losing. I mean, I don't know your family, but losing what I would imagine is one of the most important people in your life.
Yeah.
You said how close that you and your mum were. And that is the most frustrating thing. I was even speaking about it yesterday with grief. People don't know what to say, do they?
No.
And fair. 17 years of age. Maybe now, with the age that we are now, maybe we'd think, oh no, well, I'd expect a little bit better from you.
Yeah.
But, you know, just reaching out and making sure that you're okay, not coming to the funeral, but then coming back in your life when you had the baby, but then sort of not being there. Did you fight for them at all, Saff, when all of that was going on?
I just kind of, because there was other factors around, obviously when I lost my mum, we lost other people too, as in like people that hadn't passed away, without obviously going too much into it.
Yeah.
I think I was used to people just walking away, and I've always been quite stubborn. So I'm like, they might have reached out via text message, but they weren't banging the door down, or they weren't. But I understand because you're 17 yourself, someone losing their parent at 17, that's a lot of emotions. And I know one of my old friends said that they felt really emotional because of what, obviously losing my mum.
Yeah.
And they just did that. What they thought was best was to just take themselves away. And then obviously having a baby, like not many of us, there's a couple of us in the school that had babies that young. Yeah. And it is very young. And everyone always said like, we never thought it'd be you that had a baby. And I didn't think it'd be me to have a baby really young. But it was part of my journey. It happened. And again, when you're like 19, 20, coming around and being like, wow, she's got a proper, like, look after a baby. She's got to wash bottles. And it's a different lifestyle. At that time, most people are going out. They're just getting their ID and going downtown and, living their life or finding their new careers after school and stuff. So I never begrudged anybody for it. I just thought it was just a bit bizarre because I wouldn't have behaved like that or done some of the things. But then I think that taught me a lot, just because the way you would handle stuff doesn't mean other people think the same way. So that was like a big learning curve for me. Then I isolated myself because we had Ethan. We moved to like this little flat locally to where my dad was in Stychel. And I tried to take him to the mother and toddler groups. Because of the area, it was all your grandparents. So it was like I wasn't, now I'd love to mix with old people and hang out with old people. But when you're 19, 20, you feel judged. You feel like everyone's looking at you like, oh, you're the one with the baby, the young one. You don't know what you're doing, basically. And I did look really young. When I look back, I'm like, you look like a child, like you baby face. And so I did put myself in an own little bubble. And that got worse because we found out my child had additional needs. And
how early on did you find that out?
I knew when he was 2.
When he was 2?
Yeah, okay. I knew straight away. Because I've worked with loads of children before. I like to think I'm very in tune with my children. I just knew.
What was it in particular, if you don't mind sharing? Just because I may have listeners that may be going through the same kind of thing.
Firstly,
and also it could be my Teddy. So
no, hopefully not. But if anyone's ever worried about their child, like, please, I'm always open to speak to people and help people, because I have helped and diagnosed people just from like followers. They've sent me videos of their child and I'm like, I think that you need to go and speak to a pediatrician. And it turns out they are autistic and they are getting help, and the educational healthcare plans and all this like big stuff. Like, I will scream for you and your child from the rooftops to get support, because we've been through the mill with the councils and everything. My child's moved schools a lot of times, and that was, he is in a school now, which is great for him, but it was a fight and a half. Like, we nearly went to court twice for it, and unless you've got that oomph, which is so hard to have when you're already trying to navigate the journey and the trickiness of having a child with additional needs, I turned that stress into like power, and like I didn't stop until he was happy, and I pulled him out of schools because I didn't feel comfortable, and I did a lot of like mummy duties, but like on crack, like on steroids. And it's so hard. I've spoken to so many mums and they're like, it's the same thing day in, day out. And I'm like, you've got to just keep going. And now, me looking back, I'm so grateful that we did that, because we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now. But yeah, so I knew he was autistic by some of the ways he was like behaving, really. So he'd sit and play with a toy and he'd like master it. And he was the pro at that toy and then would never touch it again. Okay. So it'd be like one toy solidly, and then he'd move on to something else. And everyone was like, he's such a chill baby. I think it's because you guys are so chilled. And I was like, I am quite chill, and Luke's really chill, but like Luke's much more chilled out than I am. I was like, but no, like, I think there might be other stuff. And it was, he used to like, he didn't do the stereotypical, he'd look you in the eyes, which is the typical, when you look at an autism chart, they're like, does your child look you in the eyes? Ethan looked us in the eyes.
Right.
Does he line things up and have like obsession with organisation? No, he doesn't line things up. So on a tick chart, he probably didn't display as your typical autism, and he still doesn't now. But yeah, we knew he used to spin items, he used to hum, and I just knew that he was. So it's been, bless him, it's been a constant battle for him. But he's absolutely thriving.
So he's 13.
Yeah.
How is he day to day now? Obviously, he's got the right support around him educational wise, or?
Ish. Schools are going to be schools. I don't agree with a lot of things that happens in schools. If I had it my way, that both my children would be homeschooled, I wouldn't send them. But I know they need the social emotional stuff. He is incredibly clever. Both the boys are stupidly clever, and they outrun me with spellings, maths, everything. So I'm just so thrilled that they're academic like their dad. And they're just ace humans. Like, we love being around them. They're like the best boys. They're funny. They're great company. And it's weird because they had a sleepover at the weekend, and I said to one of my friends, like, it's weird that me and Luke don't feel like we need a break. So we're just sat in the house, like, a bit lost, like, the boys are out, and it's because they want to go to their grandparents' house. They want to go and chill out with them, and they're like, yeah, sorry, see ya, we're off to so-and-so's house now. And it's like, it's so nice that we enjoy their company, and we're not like, oh, thank God we can go out and have a break. It's like, oh, like, we've only seen you for an hour today and you're off to the next place. Like, and they're very much living room children. So they don't want to just come in and go upstairs and disappear.
Oh, I love that.
And I love that, because they're just like, even when we're working and we're like, guys, you need to keep noise down when we're in a meeting or dad's on the phone, they'll just still want to sit there, like, and just have the TV on quiet or just be on their like iPads and stuff. And it's just lovely.
That's a
really,
credit
really
to you two, though.
I hope
you
so.
know?
Yeah.
It is 13. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned that you're currently in therapy.
Yeah.
And it's uncovered a load of stuff.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking, because I'm pretty sure that's what you've said, that professional support, you didn't have any when your mum passed away?
No.
So I went out on my social media and explained that a mystery guest was coming on. I sort of blurred out your picture, but mentally, people knew who you were.
I haven't changed my picture in years.
And this was one of the questions from one of our listeners. So, did you get professional support at the time when your mum died?
No. And I know my dad would have said to us, do you want to go and speak to somebody? And I just said no, because you're 17 and you don't need to be told. If I was 7, my dad would have been like, you're going to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
Doctors said this is what you need to do, you go in. But at 17, it's like you're kind of at your own stage of life where you can make your own decisions. I wish I did now, looking back. Maybe not straight away, but definitely pretty soon after. I should have unpacked it more and spoken about it. But no, never had any professional help throughout all the things I've been through. My mum and dad were just always my people I'd speak to every day. I'd offload from the day, speak to my mum about things. Very, very close relationship. And that was something that my mum and dad have obviously done themselves and been amazing to do when we were younger. My mum always said, whatever you can tell me, you can tell your dad. And it was like an equal relationship, which obviously when she'd passed made that dynamic like so much easier, because I had my dad as well.
Yeah.
And even though my mum was like my best friend, my dad is now my best friend. So every night my dad has me on the phone offloading from the day. He is like, and he was there at my first child's birth, Ethan's birth.
So who's your birthing partner?
With Luke, yeah. Which we didn't plan. I was just like, I'm going into labour. Do you want to come down? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, just let me know when you want us to when you want me to leave. And I just didn't. I just said, well, you might as well stay. And obviously he was up the top, like he didn't see like his daughter, but it was amazing because I hemorrhaged in that labour and I had like an awful experience there. And so Luke was obviously on me and focusing on me. And so that meant he had Ethan. So in that moment, I was like, thank God you were there, because otherwise my baby would have been lying on a table, or Luke would have been like, I need to be with my child, but my partner, we weren't married at the time. So it was, amazing to have him there.
I think there's something very special about a father and daughter relationship. I'm very close with my dad. Oh. I think I always have been. Yeah. I've always been a daddy's girl. Then when my mum got poorly, I obviously thought, oh, wow, my mum needs me. But that relationship with me and my dad, like me and my dad, we go on holidays together, we go on history tours. We've been to Berlin and Poland, and we're looking at going to the Normandy beaches. But there is something very special about that relationship. And obviously I can relate to you because you've lost your mum, I've lost mine. Even though I only lost mine recently, 12 years ago, she started to get poorly. Yeah. So
you've lived a very similar experience of having to go through that grief of losing a parent, but then also you've had to be a carer, which it's that power dynamic shift of being, I'm the child, you're the adult, to the other way round. Yeah. And I only had that for a very short amount of time when mum was poorly, and like a couple of episodes where I was left on my own, and that's damaged me quite badly. From no fault of like anybody else's, obviously just for situations that had happened. And for you, it must be so hard that you have that for years and that like weight on your shoulders for so long.
It's, you use the word bizarre before. It was bizarre. It was so strange.
There's no handbook for it. No one tells you how to be.
And not everybody, I'm being too like over general there, but most people that have dementia are a grandparent. Yeah, people may had lost a parent or were losing a parent to dementia, but they were twice my age.
Yeah. They were adults, fully grown adults that have been through life and have that network around them, where you were still trying to navigate school, careers. That just must have been incredibly challenging.
It was time to grow up. I had to grow up very quickly, as did you. And it's funny that you're mentioning about like how you dealt with it. All of this kind of stuff, therapy later on, I was exactly the same. Yeah. I did not want to talk about what I was going through at all. My friends didn't even want to bring up the subject because, again, they didn't know what to say.
How to navigate it.
They didn't want to upset me or annoy me. They didn't want me to snap at them. Yeah. My dad was the same. He was amazing. But I shut everybody out. I didn't ask for help. I didn't want it. So I think me and you have had quite similar paths, even though different timings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this therapy then that you're having now is really helping you.
Yeah.
This podcast is all about like real people with real stories. So you've given me an insight into like some of the, we've not even touched the surface really with what you've been through, but this positive mindset that you have, or you have on the outside, you're coming across as a positive person, a very strong woman, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
You also, you have an online presence, don't you?
Yeah.
So you online, you stream, you do your gaming, but you're a bit of an influencer, Saff, aren't you?
No.
Yeah. You are.
Content creator. I hate the word influencer.
Okay, content creator then. So
I just like to chat. I like to share. I like to give my honest opinions, and I don't like the typical influencer world of like, this is amazing, everybody needs to buy it, and it's like, no, sometimes it's rubbish.
Oh,
we need to talk
so
about
you're
it.
Honest content creator.
Always very honest.
So, question: has that world been your therapy before you started the therapy?
Yeah. So my online friends will tell you I am the worst person at responding to people ever. Like, and I still love you. I just might not speak to you in months. I might not text you back straight away. And sometimes I'll text you back within seconds, and sometimes it can be weeks. My brain is very here, there, and everywhere. But I'll be thinking about you, and I'll be telepathically messaging you and telling you how much I love you. But I won't actually physically do it.
Right.
So
on that one, sorry to interrupt. Is that anxiety that stops you from doing that, or is it just
ish? I don't like getting too attached to people because they walk away.
We'll come back to that one. Carry on with what you were going to say.
So being online has helped me being able to form relationships with people that I would necessarily meet because I don't go out the house because of my health a lot of the time.
Right.
And I have to structure what I do day to day for my health. Like, there's a lot of planning before I can just come out.
Oh, okay.
So like, I know he asked like, what have you had for breakfast? I haven't eaten today because I can't eat because I know it'll trigger my stomach and I have to wait until later, or like I'm very cautious what I drink before I leave the house and stuff. So planning my life is quite challenging, and I can't always commit 100%. I hate letting people down, and I will never try and let people down, but I have had to let people down, and that damages friendships. And if they don't understand health problems or day-to-day stuff, then that's quite hard to navigate. So online people, you don't have to see them. It's a FaceTime here and there, and it's a chit chat, and I've loved that because I've been able to find a community of people, and especially through stream. Like, I've met my best friend through stream, and he is absolutely amazing. He lives all the way in Bath, and he's just like my little soulmate. And he's come down to see us. He stayed with us, and we've met him in real life, and I absolutely love him. And it's just ace, and I would never have met him if I hadn't started streaming.
So how did you meet someone on a stream? So, and just so that if people are listening to this and they don't have a clue what streaming is, you're playing a game. What game is that?
It's Fortnite.
It is Fortnite, okay.
I don't like Fortnite. Sorry, I was going to put it out there. I do not like Fortnite, and I'm not very good at it. And I think that's where we call them teamies. I think that's where they've come from, because I am a bot. I'm not very good.
What's a bot?
Like, do you know when they put characters into a game that are just like there to try and like fill the numbers up, and they can't play,
right?
Because they're like AI, like characters from the system,
right?
I'm rubbish at the game, and people have. As I first started streaming, my husband said you'd be so good at streaming, and I was like, oh, I'd love to, because I've always been into gaming,
right? But
I like games like Skyrim, Fallout, proper geeky games, long form games. But he was like, I think you'd be really good at streaming, so like, let's do it. So I was like, yeah, let's do it then, because any encouragement, I'm up for it. Like, if someone says like, we'll do something tomorrow, I'm set up a business, I'll be like, let's do it now.
Yeah.
And I'm really like quite impulsive, and I'll put everything into it. So we did. He got all the gear for me. We set up, started playing Fortnite, and it is the first ever stream is on YouTube. And people go back and watch it all the time because they're just like, you are just so funny because of how you're playing. Really bad. And it just snowballed from there. So Fortnite was the game that I streamed, and that's where most of my audience had come from. But we have also done like hospital tycoons and sim type games on there as well. But so they come into the stream and they talk like in the chat. And what I have on my stream is they can pay to have a voice in the stream. So when they type, it speaks it out to me. So it's like a
Oh
backwards
my
and forwards
God. Is that
conversation.
on, what platform is that on?
TikTok.
TikTok, right, okay.
And so we set up this voice. People started paying to have a voice. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, so grateful that people wanted to support me in that way. And then you obviously get to know the names and the people that are coming in. And you just build up such a good friendship with them. So I've got loads of lovely teamies that I just absolutely love, that I speak to, and they know me. They know I'm shocking at responding it, but they love me for that. So like, we have lost some teamies along the way because they don't understand how like I work, but that's how we've met, and it's just amazing. It's the fact that we've made a little community and everyone's friends with each other, and yeah, we've met a couple of them in real life. So, which is mad.
Would you join somebody else's stream and watch them?
No,
No.
I haven't got time. I'd love to, but I do try and drop in when people do, and I'm like, "Hi, it's me. Gotta go. Bye, but I love you." Like, I will try and drop in, yeah. But I'm really bad at communities. Like, when it's not my community, I'm bad enough putting the energy into that, and they know I love them from afar, but I'm really bad with going into other people's communities. So you'll see on TikTok, I'm following like 4 people. And I've got 12K. And people are like, what a bitch. Like, she's not like engaging with the people. I can't spread my love. Like, I love you, but I can't be everywhere.
Okay, fab. I'm really pleased that you give me an insight into that, because I don't have a clue about that world, but I love that. So you're content creating then,
Thank
not
you.
influencing. What kind of things do you talk about, promote?
So it's really bizarre because most gaming streamers talk about games, where I
Right.
don't. I talk about beauty, lifestyle, food, family, me. And I think that's what makes me quite different, is people do just follow along for like the home renovations, which we have documented ages ago and we'll be doing again. And like the beauty stuff that I do, and like the lifestyle, holidays, whatever I talk about, people are just interested in what we're doing, which is amazing. And so I'll work with brands that are like beauty brands. And then when you say you're a gaming streamer, they're like, oh. But then we've had beauty brands that I wanted to work with me on stream too, which is amazing because it's like pulling the two worlds together. And a lot of my girlies on my stream are into makeup and hair and beauty stuff. So I am hitting that target too.
Yeah. Because it is quite unique, like a female into that kind of beauty, like looking after themselves world.
Yeah.
Because that's most, I'm being, again, generic here, but most females.
Yeah.
But you're a gamer as well. Like,
and I'm not your typical
geeky
niche gamer, but I am geeky at the same time. And it's like, I've worked with Call of Duty. They've sent me their game out to review. I've managed by TikTok themselves, which is amazing. And I've had different, like Charlotte Tilbury sent us stuff to do on stream for TikTok. So the opportunities are amazing, but it's like, sometimes it's that imposter syndrome of being like, but I'm just a tiny micro streamer, like minuscule in the world of streaming. But the opportunities it's brought, and it's mainly the people that it's brought, is just amazing.
So you don't have to answer this, but is this an income for you? Don't give me specifics.
Very small.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well,
very small. I'd love for it to be full-time, bigger. Yeah. But obviously it's putting time in, and sadly with TikTok, a lot of the income comes from your followers, and I don't want to encourage, like, I don't do battles or anything like that.
Oh, so this is the live where people send roses and stuff.
Yeah, so but the TikTok's take a massive cut of it, so you don't make much money at all. So your audience has to send like hundreds of pounds for you to make like some money. So yeah, it's very tiny. So mainly the income comes from brands saying, can you promote us on here? And then a bit like how, people sponsor stuff. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the only way to get the income.
So one of the questions that a listener has asked is that they've followed you for a while. How does gaming help you to unwind? And does it help you to unwind, basically?
It used to, before I started streaming.
Right.
So I used to play, me and Luke have always been into gaming. We've always gamed. The kids are into gaming. And we've done it as a family for years. Started streaming, and I don't really do it off stream anymore. I don't know if that's because I feel guilty because I'm like, oh, someone would love to see this, or So it's good. When I get on stream, it's a bit one of those things, when you want to do something and you have to give yourself a push, and you feel better when you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's how it feels sometimes. But it's a lot of energy that you have to give when you're streaming, because you're playing the game and concentrating on that, talking and concentrating on keeping the conversation going all the time. Any silences, people will drop off or disappear.
No way.
So you need to be like on it for the new people that come through, which is great, because I'm quite good at chatting, but then I'm not very good at playing the game. And then you got to read the chat, which is obviously coming up, and monitor what's going on there. So when I come off, I'm a bit like, oh God, like my social battery is gone and I've not even left the house.
Wow.
So it does help me unwind, but also can be a bit like...
There's a bit of pressure linked to that as well.
Okay. Especially when I'm not myself, they know. They are the best people. They're like, you're not okay. Go and take some time. Like, we know. And I'm like, guys, I said I'd be on today, so I really want to try. I'm here. And they're like, no, like, you're not being yourself. So
I'm really pleased that you have that community of people.
Yeah,
What do you call them? Teamies?
Teamies, yeah, little FOMO teamies.
Okay, so I'm circling back to something that you just dropped into a conversation, but I can't let you get away with not talking about it. So the attachment. Don't want to get too attached to people. Has that been a running theme? Is that more of a recent thing?
Yeah, so we pieced together that it actually happened from when I was in my first primary school. I had some friendships that kind of stopped, and it really, really affected. Like, I remember being like 4 and really upset and by these friendships. And I think through life, I've been very good at getting close to people. Like, I'm so loving, and I want to be there for people and like support them and be like in their lives as much as people like allow it to. But I'm very like casual friend, so I understand as well if people are like busy and don't. So I'm not someone that like needs responding to all the time. But then it can kind of go 2 ways, and I think if someone steps back, I'm like, okay, goodbye then. Like, I'm very good at going, okay, that we'll finish that. It's just a different part of our life course. Like, everyone comes and goes.
Right.
So I'm very good at like letting people go and not particularly fighting for friendships. But I'm so low maintenance of a friend that it's like, I just presume everyone should be like, in my head, everyone would be constantly happy, and then there's no reason to step away from friendships, if that makes sense. So I'm quite good at cutting off. And my circle is so small. I think it's because I worry about other people too much.
Yeah.
And if I have such a small circle, and even with family, like, I won't really see many family, because if I don't need to care about you, then that's great.
And why is that great?
Because then it's like, because I worry about everything, everybody.
Yeah.
And even like strangers, if I see someone crying, I'm like thinking about them later on that day, and I'm like, hope they were okay. Should I have done something? I'm like overanalyzing my behaviours. Should I have gone back to them? Should we turn the car around and put like, but obviously you can't go up to a stranger and go, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like little things like that. And that's like even people I don't know. So if I care about you as a person and I see you, you'll just be on my brain and I can't switch it off. So I'd rather just not.
My opinion on this one is that's a coping mechanism that you've developed, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad one.
No.
Only if you're then affected. So only if you're then lonely.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is you're basically sharing that if you get too, you've been burnt in the past, you've been hurt, and you've had grief, you've had loss.
Mm.
If you get too close to people, you care that much that you might end up worrying about them.
Yeah.
But also if that person then leaves for whatever reason, or you feel abandoned, that's a feeling that you know too well.
Yeah.
So there's a protection mechanism in there to think, right, okay, I know what that feels like. I don't want to feel like it again. So I keep my circle small.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that. Is that right? You know, you live your life. Does that make sense to you? Is that...
Yeah, it does make sense. And there is times when you are lonely, and it's a bit like the expectations of like, do you know, like birthdays and stuff, and everyone posts stuff online. This is why I'm always so honest with people, because it's what people post can seem like such an amazing thing, and realistically you might not know what's been going on that day, that week, or in that scenario.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a coping mechanism to detach and let go. And but then also it does come back to bite me on the bum sometimes as well. But now as I'm getting older and older, I feel like I'm not as worried about it.
I think talking will help, and the only
Yeah.
reason I'm saying that is because it helped me. It
Yeah.
helped me. We're very similar in a lot of ways from what you're sharing here. And sometimes we don't like to get close to people or let people in because we
Yeah.
are afraid that they might leave.
Yeah.
So even when I did my counselling training, I had to really I had to counsel myself basically. It was awful.
Wow.
And I had to learn all of these things about myself and write letters to myself and everything. And I noticed that I am very protective over people in my circle.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's got me in trouble in the past because, you know, when I was younger, I'd be a bit leery and stuff, and I'd stick up for people. And I had to sit and grow up and think, why do I do that? And I learned, for me, that I care that much about those in my life. I don't want them to leave me. I don't want to be abandoned.
Yeah.
So if I feel that anybody is at risk or anybody is upset or anybody needs me, I will give my all because I need to keep them with me. Because obviously I lost my mum, boyfriends, stuff like that, my grandpa, and I don't want that feeling again. So if I am a loud lion and look after everybody behind me, then I'm safe.
Yeah.
And that was like what? Like, how the hell?
Yeah.
And then if we look at what you're sharing here, the element of, no, maybe I'm fearing that might happen, so I'm just going to look after me and mine.
Yeah.
And I'm good then because I can't get hurt.
Yeah. Which is mad because in my, since I've had the boys, so Ethan and Liam was like, please mention my name on the podcast. There you go,
Hi,
darling.
Liam.
He, bless you, was like, good luck, mummy, this morning.
Oh, little lamb.
He is an absolute darling. Because I have had friends throughout life with them, and some of them have just gone, and I've literally had no idea why. And even my dad's like, oh, what's happened to that friend? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I've done. I don't know if I've done anything wrong. I don't know if they're just like, actually, no, she's not for me. But there's never been like a big kaboom with anybody apart from a couple of friends. But that's mainly because of children and like, well, I can't do this because, you know, life and being a parent now. It's a very odd thing to learn. So I'm like, well, it's clearly a me issue because I've lost people and people have left and I don't know why. But then equally, it's like, but then I don't know what I've done. And I think I'm being the best friend that I can be, or like standing up to be supportive and there and loyal and loving and everything like that. And I don't share too much. And then my therapist, that I was speaking to a different one, not the one I'm currently speaking to. It was like a one on like a ChatGPT type side therapy app thing. This was a while ago when a friend left. They said, well, maybe it's because you don't open up and speak, that you could, if you opened up and shared your life, they might be able to relate to you more. But then I was thinking, well, nobody in my life could relate to me because they haven't gone through the things. Mm-hmm. And I've had times where like I've spent a good chunk of time with a friend. One of them, we were decorating my old house and they were painting one room. I was in another room and we were chatting. And she was like, she'd known me for ages. And she was like, bloody hell, like, I didn't know you'd gone through that. Like, you could write a book and that's crazy. And it's just because we had the time and space to talk about it in like, you know, no pressures of going for a coffee and you're just having a chit chat and then you go, that we just kind of like had the time to just talk about everything. But then you think people stay around, but they don't. And it's like, I just don't understand. So now I find people really hard to navigate. And I do like reading body language, and I'm very like overanalyze stuff. That is just, I put myself in a box to make it easier. And I don't have to worry about it. It's just like one less thing on my mind to worry about.
You strike me as, I know that I knew you before, but not really.
Yeah.
You strike me as somebody with a massive heart.
Yeah.
You strike me as somebody that is quite sensitive. I am very sensitive. And I think there's massive big walls around you, Saff.
Yeah.
To protect yourself. You've been hurt, you've been burnt. And, you know, you're sharing here, I have friends, but then I don't know what happened. But I get it, like you even mentioned before, like you can be a little bit stubborn sometimes. So actually having that conversation to say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Why not? That there is like
that's confrontation. I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
But then if I had to stand up and fight for anybody
for
else.
Your son?
Yes,
Sons.
children, anything, bad experiences somewhere or like the health stuff, I am there advocating for everybody else, just not for myself, ever.
Do me a favour. When you next speak to your guy, bring that up.
Okay.
Bring that up because I think that there is something which you should be really proud of in terms of being able to say, this is what happens. This is potentially something that I do. Not comfortable with going there. No. Bring that up and see what happens.
I will. Because even like for myself, so I first was poorly when I was 7.
Right.
So my health problems started when I was young. So my parents obviously advocated me until I was like older. And even like I've only recently got my diagnosis in the past few years. And I'm only just about to start like Crohn's therapy, like for like injections for Crohn's.
Wow, okay.
And stuff like that. So, but anybody out like if that was like my husband, my child, we would have known within like months. I'd been at that door screaming at them, give me answers. Whereas obviously for myself, it's like my feelings can be put aside. I've got the children to worry about. I've got everybody else to worry about and never me, which is why I think now with the therapy, it's making me focus on that because they don't need me. And like they're making that very clear with their age that they don't need me. So it's making me look at myself, which I didn't think I'd be going into like 2026 with this mindset, but it's feeling good and different. And I'm just trying to let things go as well. Like, so I had an experience when I was a child, and it's what I'd love people to be able to do. Either write things down. So if you've had a relationship with somebody or something happened to you, write it down and send them a letter and explain how you're feeling, or just speak to somebody and get it off your chest. Because there was like a power dynamic I had in my primary school where one of my teachers abused me. Two teachers abused me. And I don't know if there'll be people from my primary school that will remember that it was a rookie time. And I lost friendships because of that abuse. And
how old are you here?
Year 3.
My God.
So they used to lock me in a room, basically. Lock me in a room because I couldn't spell and I couldn't do joined up handwriting, and I was just a pretty thick child. So for them, it was quite frustrating. So she'd lock me in a room at break times and lunch times because I wasn't allowed to socialise because I hadn't done my work properly and I wasn't wasn't doing the education the way she wanted me to do it. So I had a best friend in primary school, and I remember once being able to invite the friend in to the room with me. She was like, just take someone with you. And I asked her, and then she said to me, I don't want to go in there again. Don't blame me, love. Like, it's not very nice to be locked in a room. So then I lost her as a friend, because when you're in year 3, you go off on the playground, you find new people to play with. Because I wasn't out there playing with people, I didn't get to make those like social emotional connections, which is so important when you're little. So then I moved schools, and that just moving was such a big dynamic. Obviously, my parents pulled me out of there and we moved house. And then trying to integrate yourself in year 3 into like a new school with, they've already made their friendship groups, really tricky.
Yeah.
So I got given a job of organising the science cupboard. That was like one of my little roles to do like within the school. And this school was amazing. Like the staff were brilliant, and they really helped change my relationship with the idea of staff. And I used to just hang out in the science cupboard at lunchtimes on my own. Occasionally there was another girl that had come in as well. But it's like I didn't know my place on the playground.
You weren't allowed, you weren't given that opportunity
No,
to
at a young age.
It.
Yeah. And then in primary school, I don't know if your school did it, you could have the opportunity to go and work with the little ones at like lunchtimes and help in the dinner hall.
Like a buddy kind of thing, yeah.
So I used to just do that whenever I could. And the dinner ladies were like, you were already here like yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm helping out again, because I didn't know my role. So I gave myself that job of like, I'm helping them with their packed lunches, helping them like on the playground, getting them back in their classroom. And that's like another place where my bond of like wanting to be a teacher potentially came from. So yeah, I really struggled with that. And then we went to Finham, and again, where's my role? So I'd sit with a group of girls at lunchtime, and have lunch with them and stuff. Or I'd go with I used to love being with the lads because they would play football. There's no dynamics with lads. There's no bitchiness. It's just, it is what it is. So I used to love being with them. And this friendship group, I was just left out quite a lot with some of the stuff they did. And it just, I remember it bothering me, but not really bothering me at the same time. It was just more like, oh, why? Again, that question, why? So I used to take myself off. I'd be in the drama hall. I'd be up on the lighting deck in the drama studio. Yeah, out the back, chatting to the drama teachers, or even in class, if I felt a bit like, not overwhelmed, like I just didn't fit in, I'd just go off and sit in the design technology rooms with the teachers. It was like I gravitated towards adults and being around them. But then outside school, I had my dancing. I used to be in the Air Cadets, and I had massive groups of friends. They were all normally older, and I wasn't lonely in that sense. Like I had my people, but just in school setting, I really struggled. I had like key friends in different classes, but they obviously all had their own dynamic, and I took myself off and away, and that was like learning that role just never came. So in school, I think I was always seen as like the quiet one, or like maybe a loner or a bit strange. But it was just because I was just here, there and everywhere, looking forward to my evening with my outside school friends. And then obviously then the mum stuff came, and my health throughout the whole of school. It's not normal to have health problems when you're young, and mine were quite embarrassing. So you wouldn't really speak to people about it. You wouldn't tell your friends because it's like all very taboo and a bit TMI. So you just keep yourself to yourself. And I think that just didn't help, obviously, as you get older, gravitating towards boys because they were easy to understand.
Yeah. There's no or limited underlying.
No, they're ace. And there was just like, you know where you're coming or going with boys. And yeah, it was. And then obviously I went to college and then had the babies, and it's like only now I'm able to go back and unpick all that and realise that, you know, that's not necessarily a normal way of navigating through school. I haven't got the same school memories that maybe other people have got.
No, it's not a normal way to navigate through it. It's not fair. Makes me sad to hear it, Saff, to be fair, that you know, you were treated in that way, but also you were finding ways to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
You know, lunch times and break times and stuff like that. It makes me sad, and I'm sorry that happened.
Oh, bless you. Yeah.
In terms of now, you obviously have 2 beautiful boys. You have a husband. You've been together forever.
Yeah.
You're a landlady. You're a content creator. You've got a community of people that are your friends.
Yeah.
I would say. Like, they might be online friends, but they're still friends.
Yeah, still people I check in with and chat to. I have clients as well. I run client social media platforms, and that kind of gives me a purpose.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm like a personal assistant, but it's virtual, so virtual assistant. So that kind of gives me that purpose in the day when the boys aren't there to like manage someone's emails and their, you know, social media platforms and plan their content and stuff. And that's like a bit of income. Because that's what I was really struggled with when the kids went to school. It was just me rattling around with my health. For years, my son was in and out of school. I was homeschooling him. But now we found his like forever school, touch wood, I hope.
That's not wood.
Now we found his place. I was really hoping, like, it was like then I didn't have to worry about him then coming back out of school again. So it was just a bit like, well, now what? I've not had a career for years. Obviously, I've had this social media stuff, but that's not a real job yet, hopefully, in the future. And so I started doing this virtual assistant stuff to kind of give me a purpose, because it is around my health and I can tailor it because workplaces aren't accommodating. The government certainly aren't accommodating. And that's been really tricky to navigate, which is what helped with therapy. Yeah. And the anxieties and stuff.
It definitely sounds as though you like all the noise and it's just quietening down a little bit, and you can go, oh, right, okay, maybe I should actually go and figure me out.
Yeah.
Because I now have the space to do so.
Yeah.
And long may it last. Do you know what I mean? I think with therapy, I've had loads over the years, and I have them for as long as I need them.
Yeah.
So I've had, and I always go for a different therapist depending on what I need.
That's good.
Yeah. So like while my mum was still here, I was really missing her. I was really struggling. So I thought I needed a nice therapist. I need a mother figure.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking for. And then had a massive fallout with a couple of my friends not too long ago. And I needed a straight talking therapist to just help me going with everything that I was going through. And so I looked for that, and she was a lady. She had big dreadlocks, and oh my God, was she straight talking? But she was brilliant.
She did what she needed.
That's what I needed to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to her if I was missing my mum.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
you know, and something might happen next week where I think, oh, I need to talk to somebody again. I dip in and out when I need it.
That's really good.
But with you still unpacking everything, just keep going. See what else you can find, because I was the biggest non-believer of talking.
Yeah.
But
it's mad. It's crazy. And I think it does really help when you do like open the door for that. Especially because one of my things that I've struggled with over the years, especially, is my children, watching them being well or poorly. And that's where the germs and the OCD comes in. So I'd much rather be the poorly one because I know how I'm feeling. Whereas other people, I can't read you. I can't tell how unwell you're feeling. How you're, you can't tell me. And there was a scenario with my mum, very long story short, but she kept telling me she was fine all day. I was worrying about her. I went off to go and cook dinner, came back 20 minutes later and she was blue, and she'd had this massive infection that took over in like 20 minutes. And all day I'd been getting that reassurance saying you're fine, to then be like, I've been shouting you couldn't hear me because I was dancing in the kitchen cooking dinner because you were fine. And now you're blue and I'm having to ring an ambulance and you're going back into hospital again. So it's that like trust and reassurance that I'm now knowing why I need that as an adult. But over just something that, one scenario many years ago, therapy, recommend it to everybody. And I've always been the same as you. Don't, talking, what's that going to do?
Yeah.
But I think
I'm fine.
Yeah. But I think it's talking to somebody who hasn't got a judgment, is in part like impartial to you, and you're not looking for a response from them. It's just a wall of like somebody to just go, I hear you, and what you're feeling is very justified. And that's what my therapist has done. He's been ace at saying, it makes sense. It makes sense why you've got all these, like, your health is so bad. You've got the, all the things you've gone through. Like, it's justified.
And you're not wrong for feeling like this or having these coping mechanisms that you've created to keep yourself and those around you safe.
Yeah.
So stay with him because he sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're coming to the end of our podcast today. How are you feeling? How's that been?
Good. Yeah. I feel like I'm a bit all over the place though. I feel like we've like jumped timelines, but
You've been great. You've been absolutely great. The insight that you've given, I mean, I've been shocked. I had no idea. So I know that some of the listeners will be like, whoa, she's been through it.
Yeah.
In terms of your like social media streaming, how do people find you if they wanted to?
It's Saff B everywhere.
It's Saff B. So ITS, another S?
Yeah, Saff.
Right.
And then B.
SAFFB.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put the links and everything in the show notes anyway.
That's
so
kind.
People that can have a look. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for trusting me to share your story. Talking is something that you've only just started doing. So coming on a podcast is a big thing.
It's massive.
But I hope it's not been as scary as you maybe thought it might be.
Not at all. And thank you so much for having me. And I just want to really encourage, if anyone is struggling with their health, come and speak to me. You're always welcome. Nothing's TMI. I've been through a lot, so I'm sure I can help in some way. And anything to do with children with additional needs or just anything, reach out to people, even if they are strangers like myself, and we'll be able to help and point you in the right direction. It is so important to talk through everything in life and write things down, write letters, send them off to people if you need to. Don't send them, burn them if you want to. Just get your thoughts down on paper, and that massively has helped me take weights off like my shoulders.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will speak to you in about 5 minutes after we stop recording. Oh, damn. Thank you for listening to another episode of the You Look Happier podcast. If you are listening to this, please feel free to follow us on our socials, you_look_happier. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please click like and subscribe.